New York Times reports that Google is putting in a bid to the Joint Warfighting Cloud Capability Program, which is a bid with the Department of Defense that any large cloud provider, pretty much Amazon and Microsoft as well, can bid on. And the goal of it is to achieve dominance in both traditional and non-traditional warfighting domains. Now, you might remember that in 2018, Project Maven, that was a project between the DoD and Google to increase it was an AI project, artificial intelligence project to increase the accuracy of drone strikes. Google employees got wind of this, or the ones that were not working on the project, it somehow leaked. And 4,000 of them signed a petition directly to Sundar Pichai saying, we don't want Google's technologies to be used in causing violence. And then in response to that, Google created this AI ethics that their technology would not be used in weapons or surveillance. But I think it's important that our largest technology companies work with the public sector, work with the Department of Defense. Now I'm going to say why. Absolutely, we should ask questions about, especially with powerful technologies, like artificial intelligence, and of course, you want the work that you're doing to. You don't want to be used in a way that it goes against your values. I can totally respect that, but you gotta zoom out a little bit here. It is absolutely necessary, especially in the 21st century. It's absolutely necessary that our biggest tech companies that are on the bleeding edge of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and all these cutting edge technologies, they need to be working with the Defense Department of the United States. American companies need to be helping the United States government to protect us, to keep us safe. And let me tell you straight up that there's that I think it was the Air Force CIO or something. That guy made a huge stink. He basically said, I spent a couple years trying to fix the broken the broken tech stuff, basically tech strategy in his branch. I think it was the Air Force, and he just quit. He said, this is a joke. We are so far behind China. It's getting to a point where the United States will not be able to catch up. We need to act now, and we need to modernize our Defense Department. We need to figure this shit out ASAP. And he quit. And he said all this, and I think this probably isn't true. He was one part of the government, one part of the DoD, and I don't think he has visibility into all of America's capabilities. And frankly, I think the United States' capabilities are probably, and it's in the United States' interest to diminish how powerful they actually are, and keep that a secret. So maybe this is honestly some disinformation campaign, or maybe this guy's right. But he basically went there and he said his job, he was basically just getting laptops to fucking turn on and shit. I'm like, okay, dude, what? He couldn't even. He's doing very basic shit while China is working very closely with their tech companies. In fact, they have state commissioned people that are embedded in these private tech companies, which I'm not saying the United States should do that, and making sure that they're following party guidelines, they're advancing the mission of the Chinese Communist Party, and sharing technology with the Chinese Communist Party, with the People's Liberation Army, PLA, to actually be able to by 2050, I think that's China's goals by 2050, to surpass the United States as the world hegemon. And destroy our alliances, and especially in the Indo-Pacific, and become the new hegemon and assert their authoritarian style government. Now, I think we do a lot of infighting in the United States, and I think that's honestly one of the things that makes America great. I think it's important for in a land of ideas, in a land of democracy, in a land of true freedom, there will be huge, severe disagreement. That is a fact. There will be protests. There will be violence. That's a fact. Protesting is a very American thing, and I always respect people's right to protest. I don't endorse violence, of course, but I've protested several times myself. Big fan of it. But I think with these calls of Google employees saying, "Oh no, we don't want to work with the DoD. We don't want to okay." Bro, you got to zoom out. And people people paint, they think the United States is some big bad evil country that absolutely needs to be stopped or curtailed, or the Department of Defense should not be using the latest and greatest technology because they're going to use it to kill people. And I think they lack perspective. Russia and China. Russia's not nearly as much of a threat, but you want to talk about countries that want to curtail freedoms and that want to assert their will as much as possible and prevent freedom of speech and prevent all the things we know and love here. The real world, people, the real world is our way of life in the United States is maintained by our ability to protect ourselves and our ability to assert our will with our defense capabilities. That is a fact. Our way of life will not be maintained, and you delude yourself if you think this, that if our military went away, let's get rid of the military, we'll be fine. We would not. We would not. Absolutely not. And we would not be able to protect our allies. We would have. Frankly, I'm glad the U.S. right now has the biggest stick, because I do think, relative to other countries, that if other countries had the military capability that we did, if China did, it would be game over. They would be asserting the shit. They would have invaded Taiwan 30 years ago. So I look at these, especially when it comes to election interference and the very well documented campaign of Chinese and Russian operatives operating in such a way as to spread information and incite division in the United States. The U.S. government and our largest private tech companies have to work together to help protect us, to keep our country safe, and to help protect our way of life, frankly. And I do view China absolutely as a threat to democracies, freedom of expression, free ideals everywhere. Don't even get me started on all the shit they're doing with the forced labor, with the Uyghur Muslims. There is well documented stuff that. Listen, everything's on a spectrum. Everything's on a spectrum. The United States is not perfect, but you have to be insane to think that we don't have a beautiful thing going on here. And if you look at the course of civilization, the amount of freedoms that we have in the United States, even the freedom to be able to sign a petition and petition Sundar Pichai and say, hey, listen, we don't want to do this. And then what did Google do? Pull out. You think in a country like China you could do that? Oh, we're going to just do a petition, and then guess what? The private company is going to not work with the government. Fuck no, you can't do that. We need to understand. We need to not shoot ourselves in the foot here and say, oh, U.S. bad. We can't. Our governments shouldn't work. Or, our private tech companies shouldn't work with them, and they are. Microsoft and Amazon are doing it extensively, thank God. And Google is now putting in a bid to this, and they should be. They absolutely should be. Now. There is a balance here, right? I don't want, for example, with the Snowden leaks, I'm extremely skeptical of. I think the United States absolutely do lose a lot of trust in doing bulk data collection on millions of Americans without warrants. Full stop. But you need to have some perspective here. Our private tech companies need to be working with the DoD to advance American interests and do what we can to make sure that we are at the cutting edge, because our lead in nuclear weapons, our lead in our Navy, our Navy is by far the most powerful in the world, more powerful than the rest of the world combined. Air Force, everything. We are head and shoulders above the rest. But there's a whole new landscape. The whole landscape is shifting. It's going increasingly, they call it cyber. It's going increasingly digital, and we need to make sure to stay at the forefront. Well, I think we're doing a hell of a job right now. Just in terms of, at the very least, our private tech companies are the best, most valuable in the world, and they need to be working with the DoD. Absolutely, 100%. So there are countries that there are powerful countries that want the United States to destroy itself. Absolutely. China being number one. They want to destroy us. And if you think that as you look around in the United States, if we all just yell at each other and fucking scream at each other, and we just need to gain some perspective. Republican, Democrat, Trumpin, whatever, dude, look around there. We need to put things in a little bit of perspective. So I commend Google for doing what some of their employees might not like by going after this contract. They should absolutely be doing it, not only for their bottom line, they should be doing it because it's the right thing to do, because the United States is the greatest country in the world. Granted, we got a lot to learn, we got a lot to improve on, stuff like that, and granted, I don't have, I'm not one of those guys, U.S. is best no matter what. No, we're the best for, I just do believe we're the best country in the world, full stop. I think we've got a great fucking brand. I think we've got great ideals. We've got a great foundation on freedom. And I think it's no mistake that the United States went from, a few villages 250 years ago, fucking farmers and stuff, to the most powerful nation in the world. It was rule of law. It was freedom. And it was people that were willing to fucking take risks. And we still have that in our culture today. And that's no more prevalent than in the private sector and in our culture that we churn out. The media we churn out, the companies we create. We have a hotbed. We have a system that works here, and I think it's beautiful, beautiful, and precious, and we need to protect it. And there are countries that would love us, specifically China. They're making it their entire mission to see us fail, to destroy us, full stop. And we need to look around and say, okay, you got to look at the problem head on. Not to mention, all the stuff with China stealing our hacking our private tech companies, our tech companies consistently, are hacking into our getting DoD, like fucking stealing our missile designs and fucking airplane designs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They're hacking us left and fucking right. It's insane. So is Russia. We need to get this shit under control. This isn't like a left versus right thing. This is what's at stake is literally the sovereignty of our nation. Full stop. Full fucking stop. So if you want to even have a nation to be able to bitch about, well, get some things in perspective. We should support private companies working with the DoD. Now, our Department of Defense should be doing the right thing. America should be doing the right thing, of course. There's a lot of wasted shit. The military-industrial complex, we're creating shit that we don't need anymore because Congress people have factories that make tanks, and then they don't want those things to get closed down because they want the votes and they want those jobs, and it's all fucked up. And I totally hold space for that, but we got to keep it dialed, people. We got to keep it dialed. We would have people that would love more than anything the United States, that American flag, stop standing tall. So let's get our shit together. Let's dial it in. And Google, right on. Go win that contract. Go compete with Microsoft and Amazon. I want to keep America the leader in innovation. The leader in creating the best of everything, the best advances, the best. I mean, look at the vaccines. I mean, it's just crazy. You look around, everything you create, it's all American companies, bro. The leading the fucking edge. Now, I say this not because I'm inherently Team America. America needs to be the best. I honestly believe it is the best vessel for moving humanity forward. I truly believe that. And also while we're on the topic, I do think we need to pair much better with other Western democracies, or other democracies in general, not just Western. And I think we need to build an alliance, a very strong alliance against China and authoritarian governments in general, and Russia. We need to stop acting like just because we trade with these guys, and yes, on things that we can align with them on, like climate change, sure, let's work with them on. But we got to stop pretending like the fucking dragon in the room, bro. The 1,000-foot dragon in the room. We gotta address it. We gotta stop pretending like this isn't a very important threat. Yeah, it's funny. Peter Zeihan has riffed on this, but America, Russia put a grapefruit-sized thing into space, Sputnik, and then we went to the moon. Americans are famous for overreacting. And I think we have right now is this boiling the toad situation with China, where there isn't like one thing where we're like, okay, they hacked the shit out of us, or okay, they have some propaganda they're fucking spreading in our on our social networks. And okay, and they're being very smart. China's being very smart about this. If they did something all of a sudden that was like, holy shit, I think we would flip a switch and shit would get done. I really do. But it's this kind of this boiling the toad situation. So it's we need to be honest about this. And the Department of Defense just released a I think they have to do it every year. And I'm going to read some of it. I'd like to read it maybe for another episode. Basically, their whole rundown on what the goal of what Chinese what China's military capabilities are, what the capabilities of their People's Liberation Army are, and just walk through it and walk through their goals. They released a report on it. I retweeted it, Dixie Luke, if you want to find it. It's very interesting. So I read a little bit of it, but it's like 119 pages, so it's a fucking doozy. But yeah, strap in. There's totally a new Cold War, people. There's a new fucking Cold War. The difference now is that when we started this with the Soviet Union was 3% of the economy or something like that. So it was very easy. We created a trading alliance with everyone. We said we'll protect the trade routes. We'll ensure free trade among all of our allies, and everyone got super rich, and everything worked out. The only difference is China is now 25% of the world's economy, something like that. And they trade with a shit ton of people, and they make a shit ton of shit. So that's the difference. But we need to think about ways, especially core technology like microprocessors, things that can be weaponized. Certainly, I think energy. I think breakthroughs in energy need to be. I really believe within the next 50 years we're going to see some breakthrough in energy, specifically nuclear power. What I'm seeing from solar, batteries, and wind, it just ain't enough. Elon says this, and I disagree from what I'm reading. It's just not going to be enough. Breakthrough in nuclear, which is using fission to create energy, and then there's also fusion, which is the big joke with fusion. It's always 30 years out. It's always 30 years away. Fusion is it's a whole nother. I mean, it's kind of the holy grail in energy. Would be able to create limitless, clean energy. That's another thing here. I think we just this is wars. I know this is kind of randy, people, but welcome to the real world. This is a riff session. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining. Search No Gradient wherever you get podcasts. Catch future episodes. Subscribe, like, comment on Apple Podcasts. Dixie Lucas on Twitter, Instagram, Dick Lucas on TikTok. I always do new show drops there. Let me know what you think. Rate, like, subscribe, YouTube. You know the deal. Thanks for joining. Thanks for riffing. And on to the next one. Ooh. Is that the main key? Wow, that one went 18 minutes.